Welcome to PsychicBent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic. Welcome back to PsychicBent. We certainly hope you enjoyed last episode where we did a re-airing of the Genes Have It episode where we interviewed my daughter, who is a psychic and a director of theater. This episode, we decided we were going to cover some different techniques of yoga that you could try and use and determine which ones you might be interested in and that are best for you. Because what's best for me in yoga is not necessarily what's best for Carrie or you all. Carrie, would you like to start us off with the episode of yoga?
Yes, thank you, Kim. Basically, I'm going to jump into the main types of yoga. Now, there's different levels, obviously, of yoga. Some of types of yoga are more like restorative, and they take like a gentle, holistic approach to like well-being. It's all on emphasizing techniques that soothe and relax you. Then there's certain types of yoga like Ashtanga, Vinyasa, and certain forms of hot yoga, and those are very regimented and can be physically challenging to practice, especially hot yoga. Mm-hmm. And then you have, and we've mentioned Kundalini before, but there's a Kundalini yoga, which that's more about spiritual awareness, about physical and mental health. So those are some different types of yoga. We just wanted to touch into that. Also, yin and yang is a concept that goes back thousands of years. Of course, it's from an ancient Chinese philosophy. The basic premise is that the universe consists of opposing yet complementary forces. So balance is struck between them, and that creates harmony. We've referenced yin and yang in previous episodes just as there's a yin and a yang. So I'm going to kind of dive into that just a little bit. Like yin encompasses female energy, and it's represented by darkness, water, cold things, the moon, and passivity. Now, yang is the masculine energy, and it represents light, fire, warm things, the sun, and activity. So you see how you get the total opposites.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So in the context of yoga, harmony between yin and yang can be accomplished by combining the attributes of different disciplines of yoga to create a cohesive practice that has balance among its components. So like you could do a few of the relaxing postures of the restorative yoga and then mix in some of the challenging poses found in Ashtanga or Vinyasa yoga, and then you've just created a yin and yang in yoga.
Interesting.
And I just wanted to touch on that because, creating yin and yang in your life is important for harmony. You can't just have, if you have sun all the time, what's going to happen? You're going to be hot, So it's kind of, you have to have that balance. So there's always going to be a yin, and it's always going to be a yang, So it's kind of nice practice to try to balance in your own life the yin and yang. But I just wanted to touch on that real quickly. So anything you want to add to that, Kim, before we jump into the main types of yoga?
I found some research on the yin yoga, which I found to be interesting. I did not research anything on the yang side of it, so I'm just going to go on the yin side of it. That's okay.
You went with the darkness. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Well, that's me. So I found that yin yoga, it offers a variety of spiritual benefits, including increased mindfulness and an emotional release and connection to the body. It encourages introspection and stillness, and it allows for a deeper understanding of oneself. With the yin yoga, like you said, it's a slow yoga. You hold the poses for extended periods of time, and it's a deliberate slowness. It provides you a greater focus for breathing because you're holding your breath longer. You feel the body's sensations, and it's fostering a deeper sense of mindfulness and present moment awareness. It helps you to release, like I said, the emotions you may be holding, also awakens feelings of compassion and empathy by creating a space for emotional exploration and release. So I found this one to be very, very spiritual healing that you can have, or individual healing that you can have, internal healing. And it's, like I said, a very slow paced. It focuses on deep tissue stretching and connective tissue work, so like your joints and your heart and everything. So I could see where this one could be very healing personally, in your body, for your body itself and your mind.
Well, anytime you can release built up stress that you may or may not even be aware that you have
Mm-hmm.
is very healing for your body.
Right.
We carry our stress in our stomachs, women do.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're able to work those muscles and just get all that, stress. I've heard of people just start crying when I had a friend that she did yoga for releasing stress, and it was also helped with emotional blockage, and she just started crying.
Right.
It was just that release.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, so everybody's going to approach yoga a little bit differently, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, obviously, this was very healing for that friend who
Right.
did that.
Well, this one also, just to get you an idea of the extended time for the poses that you're holding, poses could be held 3 to 10 minutes. So you're really increasing your flexibility. I just find it could be one that could help you with the other yogas, the other techniques.
Yeah.
You do need to be able to stretch and move and get to the poses. Some of the poses are pretty um,
Yeah, we're not going to go into all the
difficult.
different names of the
Yeah,
poses. It's
exactly.
hard to explain how to, you know,
Some of them look a
but
little pretzel-ish, like a big
yeah,
pretzel, but this one helps you to, I think, be able to do some of the poses in the other yogas because you are holding the poses for such an extended period of time.
yeah, I agree. And the reason we're doing yoga is because that is a type of meditation, like we covered in the meditation episode.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of touched on that. So that particular type of yoga, the yin, is definitely creating mindfulness,
Yes.
which is a good meditative state because, you're just thinking of the pose and holding the pose. And, so you're basically, it is a form of meditation.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so let's dive into some different types of yoga as well. So the first on my list is Ashtanga yoga. Now, this type of yoga is nothing like the yin yoga that Kim was talking about. This appeals to practitioners looking for a good full body workout. So this has 6 levels of pre-sequenced postures. This yoga is highly regimented, disciplined, and requires a strong commitment to practice and development to progress from beginner stages to advanced levels. And flexibility and strengths are a must have to become a skilled practitioner in the Ashtanga yoga. Now, the power yoga is a related discipline and features a more freestyle approach to postures, but it's equally demanding in terms of activity and workout. So if you're looking for a good workout, and again, so this would be where you're going to want to have to work up to this one.
Mm-hmm.
Like Kim said, just, you start by stretching and slow pace. But if you're wanting to advance in yoga, this one is just what you want to shoot for if you want to be more very athletic.
So during my research, I found that the benefits for the Ashtanga include like fostering a deep connection with one's inner self, promoting introspection and personal growth, and potentially leading to a harmonious balance of body, mind, and spirit. You have the inner self connection, and this yoga emphasizes a holistic approach to connecting physical, mental, and spiritual aspects of well being. And this practice encourages students to delve deeper within themselves, foster greater understanding of the inner landscape. And there's introspection and self discovery that occurs with the Ashtanga yoga. And students often find that this discipline helps them become more aware of their thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations, leading to a deeper connection to their true self. And then there's the mind body spirit harmony, which you talked about with the yin and yang approach to yoga.
Mm,
And it creates a balanced and harmonious relationship between the physical body, the mental state, and the spiritual essence.
very nice.
It also helps personal transformation and develop empathy. And there's other things you can benefit from with this form of yoga.
Okay, very interesting. All right, then the next one I have is Hatha yoga. And this is probably the most common type of yoga. If there's a yoga studio in your area, basically they're going to have the Hatha discipline. It emphasizes on just the proper mechanics, correct posturing, and coordinated breathing techniques. Hatha yoga is ideal for beginners and experienced yogis alike. This type of yoga also incorporates meditation into sessions. So Hatha goes a complete mind-body wellness solution. And it's, like I said, it's great for just starting out. Do you have anything for Hatha?
I do. It also helps with inner peace and wellness and developing spiritual connections. It encourages a deeper connection to one's inner self and the universe, promoting spiritual growth and enlightenment. It's a practice that can help individuals find a deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the world, even without a specific religious affiliation, which is important because anyone can do yoga. It's not, you can't do that because you don't practice this, or you can't do that because you don't practice that. Yoga is something that everybody can do no matter what their beliefs are.
Yeah, yes.
It also helps cultivate self awareness and mindfulness, allowing practitioners to become more present in the moment and connect with their inner wisdom.
Well, next on my list is hot yoga. And I actually knew someone who did hot yoga. This was 11 years ago. I met this person. And at that time, she was in her late 60s. And she did hot yoga so many times a week. And I'm like, what is hot yoga? When she told me, I'm like, okay, wow. So hot yoga, it is a discipline that has a lot of followers. I mean, it's a unique physical challenge. This yoga is not for everyone, and that's because of the unique conditions that have to be in the room for you to practice hot yoga. Obviously, the room's going to be heated, thus hot, but the temperature is maintained in the room at a constant 105 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have humidity that is set at 40%. So you can see where this might not be something you want to first start out with, especially since the humidity and heat are at a constant level.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to kind of like work into that one. There's exactly 26 poses in hot yoga, and they're always performed in the same sequence. But because it is physically demanding, that's why it's not for everybody.
Yeah, this one I know it is something that you should consult your medical professional first before you begin to make certain that you are healthy enough to try this yoga because it is demanding, very demanding on your body.
I mean, just the thought of being in a room that the temperature is 105 without even working out I'm going, check, please. This is not my yoga.
What I discovered on this one is that it helps promote self awareness and self acceptance. There's an inner peace and mindfulness that you cultivate, and a sense of inner peace with this yoga. There's spiritual growth and connection to oneself, the universe, and others. And some individuals may find that it helps them to develop a greater appreciation of their faith and spiritual beliefs because this is a very demanding, focused yoga that you have to do because it is such an extreme conditions that you're in. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I found on that one.
Okay. Yeah, that from what she told me, when she had to explain to me what hot yoga was, I was just kind of like, you do that on purpose? That's all I could think of, when you do that on purpose. But I mean, she was in great shape, obviously, and it really helped her with her stress levels and things. I mean, it's the type of yoga that works for her. So, not all of these are going to work for everybody. You just have to find the yoga that kind of goes with you.
Totally agree.
Yes, I have Iyengar yoga, and I probably did not say that right. It's named obviously for the founder, which is BK's Iyengar. This principle, or the principle for this type of yoga, is proper form and body alignment. And that's very critical to reaping the benefits of each pose. So, usually in this yoga, they encourage the use of props to guide and hold various parts of the body in their correct positions. And so it might be like blankets, yoga blocks, chairs, and straps. Now, I have done this type of yoga, and it's really good for learning the fundamentals of postures, and it helps get your body used to the rigors of yoga. And it's again another one that's really good to start your yoga journey with, especially since you could use blankets, like a folded up blanket under your knee or your back, depending on what the pose is. That works out, I mean, very well. I enjoyed that particular yoga when I did it. That's one of the few that I've done.
Some of the spiritual benefits of this form of yoga is this meticulous practice with the poses cultivates a heightened awareness of the body, breath, and thoughts, and this allows practitioners to be fully present in each moment, fostering a sense of connection to themselves and the world. There's self-discovery and transformation that you go through. It allows you to explore physical limitations, emotional responses, and mental patterns. They can be profound with the self-discovery that comes with this form of yoga, and it allows you to confront and overcome obstacles that hinder your spiritual growth. It encourages compassion and acceptance that extends to others and fostering empathy and a deep spiritual connection. There's just all kinds of spiritual things that can happen whenever you're doing this yoga. That's what I discovered on that one.
Yeah, I think any of these yogas you could have a spiritual connection, don't you?
Oh, definitely. That's
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
all part of it.
that's what it's all about. Now, the next one's Kim's favorite, Kundalini yoga.
Yogurt? Yes, I'll take
Kim's,
some.
yeah, yeah, Kundalini yoga. Those.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about Kundalini in earlier episodes where that's the Kundalini is your Shakti, and it's coiled at the base of your spine down at the tailbone area.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Kundalini is the strongest spiritual component. And this discipline emphasizes exercises like chanting mantras, controlled breathing, and deep meditation. And the point of this is to uncoil your Shakti, which is the life force that lies within all of us, which is the Kundalini. So it's kind of like a uncoiling gives you that. It's kind of like a snake-like. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have tried Kundalini yoga. I have not been successful on uncoiling my Shakti, but I kind of figured that wasn't time.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you have on Kundalini?
Some of the spiritual benefits that I found with the Kundalini is increased self-awareness. It encourages mindful movement and breath work, helping individuals become more attuned to their thoughts, feelings, and physical sensations. This increased awareness can lead to a deeper understanding of oneself and one's place in the world. It obviously helps with the spiritual growth, as you mentioned. It's designed to awaken the Kundalini energy. This goes through your chakras and helps you develop spiritually. And it's a connection to the soul. It can help individuals connect with their soul and their soul's purpose in this life, and it can help release the grip of the ego, allowing individuals to feel the depth of their soul and access their truth. Of course, the spiritual enlightenment that happens whenever you open and release your Kundalini energy. It can lead to a state of spiritual enlightenment where individuals experience a sense of peace, bliss, and unity with the universe. And it also can help release negative emotions that you may have all bottled up inside of you. It can also help you release the negative emotions such as anger, fear, and anxiety.
Okay, so after Kundalini, I think everybody should try Kundalini. I need to get back into doing Kundalini. Anything that's going to help with your spiritual and physical well-being, which any of these yogas will. It's just the type that, this one I think is really good for, because you don't really have to do the tough poses in this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is all about smooth movement and deep breathing, and it is good for meditation. Very good one for meditation.
Cool.
For me, that's just my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Restorative yoga, now that is aimed to stimulate soft tissue and target certain muscle groups. So this type of yoga, you're going to relax your body and serve as a conduit for the release of stress and anxiety. This type of yoga is ideal for people recovering from an injury or are focusing on their mental well-being. Unlike the other yoga disciplines, a typical session of restorative yoga comprises of a handful of poses, and each one is held for a lengthy period, sometimes as long as 15 minutes, which, it's funny. You don't realize how long a minute is until you have to do something and it's timed at a minute, you know?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, that took forever, So holding a pose for 15 minutes, I could see where that would help with your mental well-being, because you're just concentrating on breathing and getting to that 15 minutes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I can see what that would be a very good, if you have an injury or just what mental well-being, a perfect type of yoga. What do you have on that, Kim?
I have that it fosters mindfulness. Of course, that's what you're talking about, holding it, being in the present mind, mindfulness, promoting emotional release, and cultivating a deep connection with one's inner self. With the emotional release and healing, this deep relaxation, because it is a relaxation type of yoga, because you are holding the poses for such an extended period of time, the deep relaxation and stillness of restorative yoga can help release emotional blockages, allowing for emotional release and healing. There's also a mental clarity and focus. By quieting the mind and reducing mental chatter, restorative yoga can improve mental clarity, leading to increased focus and decision making ability. It creates a space for introspection and self reflection, allowing individuals to connect with their inner wisdom and experience spiritual growth. Restorative yoga's focus on deep relaxation and mindful breathing helps calm the nervous system and reduces stress, promoting an overall well being. And paying attention to bodily sensations and emotional responses, this yoga, it enhances self-awareness and cultivates a deep understanding of oneself, and you have a connection with the whole body and mind, getting realigned and promoting inner peace and balance.
Okay. So the next one I have is Vinyasa yoga. And there's more than this. There's so much more than just the ones we're going over today. There's a lot of different types of yoga. So the Vinyasa yoga is a session that can be best described as constant motion synchronized with measured breathing. The word Vinyasa means flow, which is precisely how each posture leads into the next. This type of yoga is great for improving your fitness level, increasing stamina, and strengthening your cardiovascular system. Now, Kim, what do you have on that one?
Okay, with the vinyasa, it is a dynamic and flowing style of yoga, like Carrie said. The spiritual benefits I found with vinyasa is increased self-awareness, mindfulness, and a deeper connection to the present moment. It can also promote emotional release, stress reduction, and a greater sense of inner peace. As with the others, it does also foster clarity, emotional clarity and balance, self awareness and introspection. Vinyasa can also help individuals become more aware of their body, thoughts, and emotions, leading to a greater self understanding and a deeper connection with their inner selves. So there's the inner peace and acceptance that comes with it as well. And there's a sense of purpose and meaning whenever you are performing the vinyasa yoga. By cultivating self awareness and mindfulness and emotional release, vinyasa can facilitate spiritual growth and transformation, leading to a more conscious and awakened being. And that's what I have on that one.
Okay. We've referenced different types of yoga, obviously. And, it's kind of, you want to go where it resonates with you, but you also need to think about how's the best way for you to do yoga. Are you the type of person who wants to join a gym or, go to a yoga studio? Are you that kind of person that wants to be out there learning like that? Or are you the kind of person like me who I'm going to YouTube different types of yoga because just starting out, I don't want to be in a room with other people. And also the empath in me doesn't want to be in a room with other people.
Same.
Yeah. So, I mean, keep in mind, I would just try yoga, even if you've not thought of it. Just try yoga, pull up YouTube and research, pull up different kinds. You just type in yoga and, you fall down that rabbit hole of all the different videos you could watch. I've tried several different ones doing it that way,
Mm-hmm.
not really putting a name to the yoga. But I've done armchair yoga. So if you're just starting out or, you have some, like, Kim, before she had her knee replacement, was restricted on some of the poses she could do.
Mm-hmm. Right. Definitely.
And some of the exercises. So that's when we discovered armchair yoga, and you really still get a workout.
Right.
So you don't have to run out and buy the yoga mat and everything. If you're not sure this is something you're going to want to do, I would start with, like I started with armchair yoga. That's me, just because I'm not as limber as I used to be.
Yeah. Same.
And it was it was very interesting to see the different types of yoga being shown on YouTube. Everybody's on YouTube, so it was kind of interesting to see the different techniques and the different types. They choreograph everything together for you, so you just follow along with the movements. Now, yoga mats are not that expensive. They got them at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if you want to get a yoga mat, go for it, because comfort's important too.
Well, not only that, the yoga mat prevents your feet from slipping because whenever you do yoga, you usually perform this barefoot.
Yeah.
That keeps your feet from slipping out from underneath you whenever you're doing the different poses. So if you are on a floor that is slick and you're not using a yoga mat, personally, I would suggest you wear a good pair of tennis shoes that doesn't slip on you as well. You want to make certain you're not injuring yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just my personal advice, not a medical or professional advice.
The mat is also good for when you're laying down and doing poses too.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing it on a bare floor and you're doing a pose that you're stretching, you'll be more comfortable and more apt to continue if you do have a yoga mat.
That's true.
So you may want to start with armchair yoga, which, Kim also did the armchair exercising videos.
Mm-hmm.
I was so sore. I'm like, oh my gosh, it really worked out. I mean, you were working out, wasn't you, Kim?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could start out with that. You could just watch the videos and kind of see what resonates with you, or you may just skip this episode altogether. That's okay too, because not everything we go over is for everybody, because you can't have something for everybody sometimes.
Yeah, but at least you now have some options to search for to see if that's a
Yeah.
technique you want to go with.
And this might be a good technique for meditating that is easier for you to close your mind off than just trying to sit quietly in a room meditating or guided. If those are the types of meditation you've struggled with, this might be the way to help you and help you release anxiety. And I mean, so you're getting multiple benefits out of it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You got anything else?
It helps with the flexibility of your body and everything too, not just the spiritual that I talked about, but yeah, it helps you overall. Mind, body, and spirit.
Yeah, and I'm all about holistic approaches to things. I'm not going to get into my whole anti-farm thing, but I'm all about holistic first. And part of the holistic journey is also getting, releasing stress and clearing your mind. and it's so easy to not recognize when you've had all the stress or how stressed you are until you do like a yoga session and then you've released all this stress that you didn't even realize and you just feel so much better afterwards.
Yeah, I agree.
And that helps you start to recognize when you're starting to get that level before you hit the brick wall.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
I know I've identified where I'm like, okay, I'm getting that wall's getting closer. I didn't realize this, I'm stressing myself out this much, and it's usually me doing it to myself.
Well, yeah.
Multiple things in the fire and work and everything. It all builds up.
Hmm.
So this is a wonderful way of just, whether you do a daily practice of yoga, which, when you think about it, some of the videos you could do an hour long. When you're first starting out, you're not going to be able to do an hour long video. If it gives you such a release afterwards, it's something very easy to work into your day. They even have yoga for weight loss.
And they have yoga for prenatal.
Yeah, help get those muscles ready to go.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's really interesting the different types. And it's funny, some people think yoga is bad spiritually. I don't know why. If it's a religious thing for you, then skip this episode. It's kind of too late now. You've already in it. But it's just one of those where if it's something that gives you inner peace, something that gives you clarity, something that removes your stress, it's something you should try.
Yeah.
Because in today's world, we're all running on stress.
Yeah.
And especially it could help with grounding in that root chakra. Because if you're not grounded and you're a highly sensitive empath or any empath, you're going to really be more stressed out than you should because of all the stuff you're absorbing on a day-to-day basis.
Hmm. Right.
So if it's a good way to release everything you've picked up, a good way to help ground you, and it can also help release psychic blockages that you may have as well because of all the stuff you're holding in. And obviously, if you're incredibly stressed, your chakras are not, you're not set up straight, they're not lined.
Hmm. Right. And that's yoga, all about the postures. So,
Yes, yes. And that ties into your chakras, which we talked about is very important for your well-being,
hmm,
whether it's spiritual well-being or, physical well-being. Those chakras are very important. Getting your throat chakra aligned with the rest of your body and the blockages removed, that's important. And so if you do the Kundalini, where you're chanting, that's going to help that become unblocked and get that chakra spinning like it should. So I mean, this all ties into all the other practices, and it helps you more as a psychic. And I know it probably doesn't sound like, well, what does this got to do with psychic abilities? Well, it's helping you, as you meditate. The more you meditate, whatever that practice is for you, the more you're going to be communicating with your spirit guides because you're going to be open to that. And that spiritual growth and that connection with your guides or your higher self or your spirit team, whatever you have working with you, that's going to help your growth as a psychic. And that's going to make you a stronger psychic. So you're not only working your muscles and strengthening your muscles by the stretching, you're also, stretching your psychic muscle, I guess you can call it, by mindfulness, meditation, releasing things that no longer serve you. When you're releasing stress, you're doing the same thing. You're releasing things that don't serve you. And so when you come out the other end, you're like going, oh my gosh, I feel so much better. And you don't even realize what all you released.
yeah, exactly. Well, I can see where some of these practices of yoga would be really helpful for the beginner and being able to make that connection with spirit. Some of these I think are very, very advanced and hard at first. But if you give it ease into it.
If you're an athletic person, and so, if you're already an athletic person, you may not want to start with the slow approach. You may want to dive right on into the harder ones because you're there physically already.
Yeah, true.
If you're me, you start at the slow version because if I'm running, you should run too because something's chasing me, kind of thing. But it's where you're at in your physical well-being is where you should start. And sometimes asking spirit to show you which one you should start with. Then you start to see the sequences popping up everywhere. Facebook will tell you, different kinds of things that'll start popping up. If you ask spirit just to guide you on what kind of yoga should I start with,
Mm-hmm.
or what method of meditation should I start with? And a lot of times the answers will start popping up around you. Someone will randomly mention, hey, have you ever thought of doing this? And you're like, okay, thank you, spirit, Or you'll get something pop up on Facebook about it. That, although I know Facebook listens, but it's kind of like that particular mode.
Yeah.
That's what I have in my thoughts on yoga.
Okay.
Do you have anything else, Kim, on yoga?
Well, I was just going to say that don't get frustrated. I know I'm the one that always says this, but it's okay if you don't get the sequence or the pose correct, or for the extended time they're doing it. Just take your time and just try it, and it'll get easier as you go through. Challenge yourself a little bit in each pose, but it's okay if you can't do the pose completely. Just do what you can, and slowly that'll build up to where you can actually do the actual pose. That's what I wanted to add.
Okay. All right. So, Kim, if you don't have anything more for yoga, I would like to revisit the Haunted America Conference. That is quickly coming up. It's going to be, they say, returning to Alton, Illinois. This is the 28th event. Now, the actual conference is June 26th to the 29th, but the vendor room will open at 1 o'clock Friday, June 27th. And on that particular day, I will be there the entire time the vendor room's open. Kim's still checking her schedule to see how long she could be there on that day. And of course,
I should be there the whole day.
the whole day. Perfect. Yay. The actual conference itself is going to be in the Godfrey, Illinois area. Now, the conference you have to sign up and buy tickets for. You do not require tickets or anything for the vendor room. That is basically open to the public. So this is a great opportunity to come in and check out the vendors. It'll be at Lewis and Clark College in Godfrey, Illinois. And then I don't have the time Saturday of how long it's open, but it's probably going to be open pretty much from like 9 to 6, I think is what it was last year. So come on down and check us out if you're in the Illinois, Missouri area. We would love you to stop by. I'll have my booth with jewelry, and we will obviously be also talking about the podcast. And then our psychic sister, Julie, will be beside us, and she will be doing psychic readings. She does book up early. So if you are wanting to get a psychic reading from Julie on that day, Kim and I are not doing readings that day because we're basically trying to promote the podcast, and then I've got my jewelry that I'm selling. So if you want to get a psychic reading, I would suggest going to Julie, since she will be there doing just that, because it's kind of hard for me to be in the mode of selling my metaphysical jewelry and then flipping to do psychic readings. I feel like I'm there for that, not the readings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
And then we'll have, hopefully get to see everyone come on down that's in the area. I know we've got a lot of local listeners from that area. And like I said, at the conference, I don't believe is sold out yet. They had discounted tickets the last time I looked at the website. And so if you want to get tickets for some of the events, it's a Haunted America Conference. You just Google that and that'll pull it up. But like I said, the vendor room is free. So you are welcome to come check us out if you're in the area.
Yeah, it should be fun.
This is Kim's first time going to the conference, so it should be interesting. There's a lot of energy in the room. I mean, there's psychics all over the room doing readings. There's oddities. There is, it's just interesting. It's a fun event.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, is that all we have for this episode, Kim?
That's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you, listeners, for listening to this episode of Psychic Bent. And we look forward to getting together for the next episode. All right, listeners. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.